Okay, guys, this is part two of how I dealt with my grief and how I learned to love again. So, what really happened was, um, he was gone and everything was done. And thanks to the family that I was part and the parcel of everything. Like, I was able to go to his memorial service. I was able to see his preparations, like almost everything. I think that's one of the things that also helped me being there. Yes, it was overwhelming when people see me, others do not know me, and others feel like I was not supposed to be there because I was not married to the guy. Like, there was so many going on, but I was happy that I even got the slot to talk to him on his last day, and I even got the very very healing part when I had to put ilike. I think I believe that ndandingama at that moment. Ndimbonile, ndimthandile, and I did everything. That was fine. Ndabeka ilitye. That was the end. Number one, what I did was I left the village, like my home village. I left, I went to my aunt in Tata because I needed to gain myself. I needed to gain strength. I needed to come back. I needed to bounce back because in the following 3 weeks, the schools were going to open. And at the time, I was working in high school. I was a learner support agent. I had to be a person in those learners who is not vulnerable. Then, lucky for me, my aunt is bishop. My aunt is very good. She gave me books. She prayed with me, and then she also motivated me. And lucky for me, when I went to her, I also gained some experience that it is not the end of, as my father would always say, it's not the end of my life. It was the end of his life, because my father was like, I'm really disappointed that this guy left you, ne? But Snazo, you should know that this is not the end of your life. This is the end of his life. And then this is the end of your journey in him. And knowing how we were close, like we were always together everywhere, whether he is at work, where that I'm going to work, we're always together. But on that day, because it was God's purpose for him to take him, like it was God's will. I believe it was his will. So my father was like, like my family was afraid that I'm gonna commit suicide, because that was on my mind also. Ne? So my family was always like, it's not your path. Like our it's not your time to live earth. So my aunt was also emphasizing that. And then, you know, I also met through my aunt other people who have been through the problem and then who have moved on, and I didn't see it at that time. I remember some of the sisters and cousins asking me, when do you think are you going to go back to a love relationship and all of that? And I was like, yo, maybe 3 to 5 years later. That was what is happening at the time, because I was still grieving and I was hurt. I felt like I can do something for him, of which I couldn't. It was God's will. So the other second thing was, as I said, the books, reading the Bible, praying, and the reading, not just reading just the Bible, but reading verses that are made exactly for people who are going through some stress, from that are going through difficulties. And then what also helped me was his cell phone that had our memories. And then I used that phone to keep our memories and everything and all of that. But because I was healing, I think it was after my counseling. Okay, so I also went back to school, that is at work, went back to work. And then that also healed me, as much as it was painful, because you know I used to text him at 6, and then he would call me from 6 to half 6 until I get to my transport. And then he would call me when I get to school at 7:20. Like, I missed those calls. I missed everything. And there were times I'd find myself calling him until I took his SIM card to his father. It was really painful, but I went back to work. And then now just imagine, like, my colleagues knows that I've lost a partner, and everyone's like, oh shame, oh shame. It was really painful. Others come to me and ask questions, and then I would hear others talking behind my back that how is she coping and all of that. Like, what really, like, so many people had questions, even in town when people see me ingathi bathetha ngam. I'm not sure if bathetha ngam or what, but ke I had to just imagine. I had to go back to the taxi because I think I haven't used a taxi for 2 years at the time. So I had to go back to the taxi. In a taxi, it's where the news, it's where you find news, like in Dabazba, and people wouldn't care if I'm there or not. They will talk about the scenario, like they will talk about the story of his death, and they will say things but Nakaloksana, we know why he is dead. It was really painful, but through it all, I tried to heal. So what I was doing every day, I would make sure that I take long walks, like after school, and then I take a walk. I make sure that I don't use indlela yemoto. Those who know my home, I don't use indlela yemoto because ngizoqhela ngomuntu. Then ngifuna uhamba ngenyawo, and then when ngihamba ngenyawo, I would pray to God, and then I would also grave to him. I would cry and do everything because ngami emasimini mos until I get home. So I would cry for almost 20 to 25 minutes. I would cry. It helped me because it was a process of healing. And then what also helped me was those dreams that I had of him. And then I don't want to lie, ever since he died, the dreams that I was having of him was dreams of him being peaceful, like the person was peaceful. Okay. As I was at work, I felt like, you know what, when like my job at the time was to deal with kids, vulnerable kids, and all of that. So when those kids came to me and told me their stories, different stories, the child-headed homes, the what, it would come to my mind. Like, I would find myself, I'm losing my mind because I have my own burden. I can't carry the kids' burden. And I felt like, you know what, I need help now. Messaged my supervisor at the time, and I thanked my supervisor at the time, who also referred me to the right people, that is, people who have dealt with the situation I was with. So I feel like it's really better. I also thank my friends who came in from me, like my primary and high school friends who came, and it was like, I didn't even know they went through the same situation, but they came to me and they were like, "Snell, it's gonna be fine. This happened to me, but you didn't know." It was really nice talking to people who've been through the process, people who were grieving at the time, or people who have dealt with grief, also helped me to heal. Then, fortunately enough for ESSS at the time, or the place I was working for, we also had psychologists. I went back to my diary, and then there was a seminar that we had, a workshop that we had at Dala, that was really, really, really therapeutic. So I went back and then remembered that psychology gave us her number, and lucky for me, she was not far. As much as she is based in B now, but she was at Tofumbabe at the time, so Tofumbabe and Ngobo near. So she volunteered for me to come and start my sessions and all of that. And then, I don't want to lie, from my first session, like, I came back alive from my first session, because in my first session I was allowed to talk about, like, what I talked about in part one, what really happened, how did I met him, and all of that. She was like, "Uthetha kamnandi ingathi awuzuthi wasweleka at the end of the day," because your psychologist guys have a different way of dealing with minds. So that boosted my healing. And I think that what I can say healed me. Then, if you're going through the most at this moment, what can I say to you? If you're grieving this moment, be it you have lost your parents, your baby, your aunt, whatever, you have lost anyone who's close to your heart, and that's what matters. What I can say to you is that you should understand that grieving is a process. As I've said and I've talked about healing, I have not yet healed because with grief, you wake up sometimes and you feel like, yo, son, ngasukhale imini yonke. And then the other day you feel like, you know what, God, I'm grateful. There are days, maybe there are memories, there are all those things that will always be a setback. But if you're going through the most now, I just want you to draw near God, go to God, and then talk to God about whatever that you're going through. Read Bible verses that are made for your situation at this moment. Promise me that you will thank me later because you will heal. And then whenever you pray, thethe ilizwi enhlokweni yakho that you said, God, you have plans that are to prosper me, not plans to kill me. So do those plans. I trust your will. Say positive things to yourself. And then I also went to online. I joined a team called my depression team. Those stories, guys, they heal you because of elibona uba esi sakho ngathi sincinci, because ufumanisa uba ezinye izitori zibuhlungu kakhulu. So hearing and reading about these stories, they still email me even today, and I even share my life today with them. Those old people, those young people, everyone in my depression team. If you want to join it, it's just, you can just go to Google and Google my depression team, and then they will ask you to log in with your email or number. Then you join the group, you tell your story, and then they're gonna help you to heal also. So all I'm saying is that if you're grieving or you're going through the most, whatever that you are going through now, just know that everything happens for a reason. And life, things happen for a reason, and there are seasons in a year, just like in a year there are seasons even in your life. This can be a season of your sadness. This can be a season for you to cry, but it will not always be like that. There comes a time God will come for you and will rescue you, and then you'll realize that uThixo bengakuzondi, but he was doing his will. And also pray for God's will in your life, because now there are also days where maybe I see his family, I see his brothers, I see his colleagues and everyone, and then my heart is like, I need to take a deep breath. Even when I'm with my partner that I'm with now, he understands, talk about these things. And also, when it comes to relationships and everything else, don't jump to anything that is coming from you, that is coming to you. Because what is going to happen at that moment when you bring your partner and all of that, those hugs will come, those kisses will come. Some of them are not pure. Those people will ask for your number, will grieve for you, will grieve with you for 1 hour, and the next hour they are looking for a relationship. All those things on all those people, do not entertain them. And if it means blocking them, block them. But if you want to flirt and you feel like flirting is fine for you, flirt, but do not take whatever is coming to you, because at that point, especially if you are female, they know that you are vulnerable. They know that you are needy. They know that you need that person who will transport you. You need that person who will support you and all of that. They know. So they're coming and offering you. I think almost 10 to 12 people who knew our relationship, who knew us, some of with his colleagues, came to me and offered me a relationship. And all I needed was that time was being single. Work on yourself, be single, enjoy the journey of being single until God appoints a person who's gonna understand where are you coming from. There's nothing I hate than a person who will need me to explain when I'm moody, who will need me to explain like in these dates. Like I still mourn on the date on the date when he left me, the 1st of July. My body mourns him, even if I make sure, like my partner suggested, that we make sure that on those date, that is the date that he died and the date when he was buried, we make something, even if it means going out, travel, whatever that we do. Like we should do something so that do something also. Like you can do whatever that you want. If you want to wear his clothes, wear his clothes. If you want to wear their shoes, their tracksuits, whatever. Which, because of healing, I had to bend them. It's a process. With grief, it's a process. It's a process, guys. And if you have a family or family member or friend or whoever that is going grief, sukungam understand uthi ayibo kwakunini ngoko. Yes, kwakunini ngoko, but the heart is still there. Or uthi ayibo, you have had multiple partners. You have met multiple partners after him. Why are you still grieving for him? I'm still grieving for him because these multiple partners are azungui. You need to understand that people who are dealing with grief, it's different, and you will never understand it until it happens to you. Let's go straight to how I learned to love again. Okay, how I learned to love again. I am not going to lie. I'm really not going to lie. It was not easy to learn love again. In the first year, I just started flirting with people who. So I told myself that, okay, fine, he's gonna love me and all of that. But eventually I learned to love again. How? By making sure that I understand the concept that he's not going to come back, and then he wants me to have my own life at the end of the day. And then I stopped winning, I stopped crying, because my psychologist was like, what if when you stop crying, he stops crying also? What if when you stop doing bad things, he stop also crying? Because now he's head Glendawagoyo. So you have to know that your life has to move on. I made sure that, okay, fine, I'm gonna enjoy this stage, and then I will do whatever. And then I kept on reading and accepting whatever was happening. And then I was like, eventually, I then became able to love. Then what I think helped me was to explain where I'm coming from, explain my feelings, my fear, and everything. So yeah, that's it, guys. I explained everything. I explained, and I wanted to be understood. And then also, I know that many people feel like it's a taboo, like talking about your previous partner to your current partner, but it really helps so that your partner doesn't, the current